something I wanted to bring up to you yesterday, today, John. Not that it's the biggest thing in the world, but DeVonta Smith was on a podcast. I forget who was that with. I watched a lot of the interview, and I'm blanking on who the heck it was with.
Yeah, I don't know who it was. I didn't. I just saw the clip.
I think it was on Carmelo Anthony's, wasn't it? Carmelo Anthony's podcast, 7 PBK. But anyway, he spoke about Slay. I saw you post it out, and I'm like, boy, I don't really. It's one of those things where I've been saying the phrase recently. At what point are opinions overrated? Opinions of Slay are far overrated. I mean, I'm listening to DeVonta Smith. Credit his NFL ability, credit his NFL talent and stuff to being molded by Darius Slay, who's like, he's a great leader. He told me what to do in practice, told me everything I was doing wrong. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm sorry, Eagle fans, you might not like Darius Slay, but I'm going to listen to
part of the reason I retweeted it is because selfish. I've heard these stories from DeVonta. I've said them on the show, but people aren't going to listen to me because, but they'll listen to DeVonta, hopefully. I've talked about what a great teammate Slay is so many times over the years on this show. Because some people, and yet sure enough, I tweeted and he got this one idiot troll. Oh, he should shut the fuck up. And
yeah, I saw it.
And by the way, is obviously these people tend not to put their faces on their words, and he's got a face of CJ saying Slay should shut the. I'm like, yeah, all right. But
he was a troll in JAKIB for a little bit, and then I roasted him. Luke's dad. Some people in the chat might remember him. I roasted Luke's dad one day, and then he's like, "I'm never coming back here. You're too mean." I'm like, "Good, get the fuck out of here, troll."
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I've told the Devin Allen story. I've tried to explain he's a team captain for 3 years, not because he's a 6-time Pro Bowl player, because he's voted for by his teammates, like DeVonta Smith. DeVonta's been talking about it when he first got here, and he told the story on the show. He'd run routes, and Slay would say, what it was before. And he was saying, well, how does this fucking guy know what I'm running? It's just because how savvy and smart, and he's seen it all, and he knows what's coming. And he would tell DeVonta exactly what he was tipping off. And he's trying to explain the situation. That's how he's advanced so far in his career. He's gotten so good. He's one of the best route runners in the NFL. A lot of that he gives credit to Slay for helping. And Slay's that rare guy, and I bring it up all the time because he's told the story to me many times. When he came in as a rookie in Detroit, he had some very good veteran players who took him under their wings. And he felt it was always his responsibility to do the same, to pay it forward to other young players. And if you talk to Quinyon Mitchell, if you talk to Cooper DeJean, if you talk to Reed Blankenship, all the young defensive backs, they say the same thing. People are going to realize what they're missing when there's no Slay out there. Because I guarantee you, Ringo is 23 years old, can run like the winds, and Slay can still run at his age, amazingly. But not really well for his age. Not like Ringo, but Ringo has the size and length and everything you could be to be a great NFL corner. I love the guy. I say it all the time. AJ told me he's going to be a really good. He ain't going to be Darius Slay.
And he's certainly not looking at a rookie wide receiver and
he ain't calling out
every route he's about to run. He's not doing that.
No. So, I talked about Brandon a lot because he retired this week. Slay's almost in that same category. For whatever reason, I don't know how you're a 6-time Pro Bowler and underrated, but he's underrated. And all the stuff, and he, even last year, because everybody fell in love with Quinyon, and rightfully so. Quinyon will tell you right away who the cornerback one on that team was, and it wasn't Quinyon Mitchell.
Right.
And now it has to be. and he's going to have to step up in that role. And he's got all the skills to do it, and he's a very good player, but he's not going to be as savvy as Darius Slay, at least right away. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So take your opinion of Darius Slay. You can roll it up in a bowl and chuck it in the trash, because I'm going to listen to the players who played with Darius Slay, the guys who helped win us a Super Bowl in this city, talk about Darius Slay. Again, my opinion of him, don't really care about it. I mean, the players love him, obviously. And it was another thing DeVonta said on that podcast. It was great. I love listening to DeVonta Smith. He's not a guy that opens up a lot, but he had great stuff on that podcast. I listened to a lot of it, so it was a really good job. Really well done by him. Good to listen to DeVonta. He gave Jalen Hurts a little bit of love, in the same breath. That's why people are bashing Slay, because he's like, yeah, Slay could have just done this. DeVonta said it's the big five, and Jalen's in there. I'm with you, DeVonta.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'll never understand people who want to be validated, don't want to be told the truth. So
everybody has a different definition of the truth.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But I mean, validation, but I think most people understand, like most fans understand their fans, I think. I think.
Yeah, I cared a lot less about the top 5 list that DeVonta did, and I cared about the story he told about Jalen Hurts and going to Alabama and knowing that.
First of all, Slay's a huge Jalen Hurts fan. A huge Jalen Hurts fan. And he didn't say anything bad about Jalen Hurts. He just said what everybody in the NFL thinks.
Not everybody.
Yeah. In the NFL, everybody.
Well, DeVonta Smith just said he didn't agree. He's in the NFL.
Validation-wise, I'm talking about personnel people, coach. I'm not talking about teammates. Love their team.
Right, that's fine.
And by the way, I shouldn't say 100%. There's always one knucklehead, but I'm saying the vast majority. If you talk to I'm sorry, me. I don't even want to bring it up. If you talk to executives and personnel people and scouts, they are going to tell you that Joe Burrow is better than Jalen Hurts. They are going to tell you that almost uniformly. Even the Eagles, if there's no cameras there, and they're being honest. Again, you could say that about Josh Sweat. You could say that about Milton Williams. You could say that even about Jalen Carter. You could say Chris Jones is still better than Jalen Carter. You might get some people up in there, who love but they're not going to go berserk and lose their minds. You could say it about any other position. You can't say it about quarterback. There's certain guys, Myles Garrett, Joe Burrow's that at the quarterback position. That's the guy, More people will say now, because of Patrick's poor performance in the Super Bowl, which again speaks to the ridiculous extreme nature of the quarterback position, and people jumping that he's going, he played so poorly in the Super Bowl. He's not Patrick Mahomes anymore. So it works, but it's not just Philadelphia. It's everywhere. It's every quarterback, and but I'm not talking about the randos like Doug Kleinman on I don't
even think Doug Kleinman's real. I think he's not. He sold that account. He sold that account to someone who's an engagement farmer.
Yeah. I'm not talking about the grifters and all that stuff who try to do it on purpose and especially the easiest fan base to get up in arms is the Eagles because of the passion. But they don't have passion over Brandon Graham. They don't have passion over. They do, but they don't. They do, but they don't. I can say that. I can say Myles Garrett is better than anybody, and nobody has an issue with it. Even though he played on one of the worst teams in football.
Well, I feel like those positions are a lot less subjective than quarterback, because the quarterback is it encompasses so many different things, and there's so many different ways to gauge it. That's why the old debate is wins a quarterback stat. Like nobody says is wins and edge rusher stat. So the quarterback position is just different. I think.
I'm
not saying what you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying the two positions are much different.
They do it and just in a different way. Like the people that criticize Myles Garrett, the grifters or whatever,
right? He never
will say, "Why is Cleveland doing it?" Say they don't win games. They might not point to their record. I'm not debating that quarterback is not more important than every other position. It is. That's why it has broken people's evaluation of the position. It's not hard to evaluate the position. And by that, I mean, it's not hard to look at the film and see what people are doing well and doing not well for personnel people. It's always hard to find great players. But it's not hard to evaluate the position. Like, nobody in the league thinks Patrick Mahomes is a bad quarterback because he had a bad game in the Super Bowl. And I'm talking about, again, I'm not talking about engagement farmers. I'm not talking about fans. I'm not talking about media. I'm talking about people who do it for a living, people in the league, GMs, personnel people, scouts, people that evaluate the game of football as a professional, get paid to do it.
Yeah, career. I got you.
There's nobody who thinks Patrick Mahomes is a bad quarterback because he had a bad Super Bowl. And by the way, there's nobody that believes Jalen Hurts was a bad quarterback before the Super Bowl. And there's nobody that believes he was a bad quarterback and all of a sudden is a good quarterback because of the way he performed in the Super Bowl. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but the body of work comes into play. Like you mentioned, nobody thinks Patrick Mahomes is bad. Well, yeah, this guy's got 3 Super Bowls. I mean, he had 1 bad game. Jalen Hurts is now the body of work, John, is becoming so impressive.
It doesn't change.
I know what you're saying. You're saying that
it doesn't change it for them. It doesn't change it for them. It might change it for everybody else. It doesn't change it for them. That's why it's easy for people to say Joe Burrow's better than Jalen Hurts. It's not even a discussion in league circles. Like, they'll laugh at you. It's like, come on. It's not a debate. It's not a debate. That's all the other stuff. That's media people. I'm not criticizing media people as well. I'm saying inside the league, it's not a debate.
Are we leaving out though, just blanketly, are we leaving out some of the things that I think are more valuable than maybe is viewed in the league? Like, if talent was isolated, then yeah. But I don't think talent is the only thing that wins you games or takes you the full distance in the NFL. And I think Jalen does all of those other things elite. Now, they're not quantified. They're not put on stat sheets, and they're harder to gauge in the conversation. But I think they matter. If you're saying that, take everything out and just look at the talent. Who throws the best? Who does the quarterback position the best? All right, yeah. Maybe Jalen's not in the elite of the elite in that. But if you take everything that it takes to win in the NFL, which is a lot more than just talent, I think Jalen is. I think he's right there. I think he's best of the best.
I'm talking 2 different parts of it. Look, that's for fans and media people and all that. And that's great. And that's how we make our money. And that's how we do things. And we have to do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't have these conversations. I'm talking about people in the league. That's all I'm talking about. It doesn't change for them. It's not hard for them. They're evaluating a particular position. We're kicking off March Madness. We've kicked off March. It's a perfect example. You have Cinderella on any given day. That's what fuels the popularity of the NCAA tournament. You have these awesome upsets, right, where if that particular team played the heavy favorite, then they upset them. If you play it 90 times, if you play it 100 times, they're going to win it 90 times minimum, probably 95. But there's that one time on a particular day that they jump up and they make that's what makes sports. Right. I used to have this discussion with Jody all the time. He'd drive me crazy. I'm like, well, they're the best team because they won. No, they're fucking not. They were better on that day. How boring would sports be?
If the best team always wins. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It is one of the dumbest conversations I've ever had because it and that's not to say because I think the Eagles were better. I'm not talking. I think the Eagles were a better team than Kansas City.
Yeah, but isn't there something to be said about what you just said and how it relates to the quarterback position? Because I agree. I'm not saying you're wrong about the whole talent thing, but it seems like every time you need Jalen Hurts to play great in a game that matters or on a given day, he plays great. He does whatever the team needs him to do, and his team prevails a lot more often than not.
Maybe I can make it Eagles-centric, and maybe this will resonate. Probably won't, but this will resonate. All right, Jalen Hurts has played 2 Super Bowls. He was better in the one he lost than he won than the one he won. Number one. That's number one. Number 2, over the 3 Super Bowls the Eagles have been in, Nick Foles had the best game. Jalen Hurts is better than Nick Foles. Period. End of sentence. It's not even fucking close. Maybe that will resonate more with Eagles fans because so many of them love Nick, and they should. And that was a phenomenal 2-game run from Nick Foles. I don't think there's a quarterback on the planet that will have a 2-game run like that, potentially, again. It was a 2-game run. He's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's not the best quarterback in Eagles history. He's not better than Jalen Hurts. He's not better than Carson Wentz. He's not better than Donovan McNabb, et cetera. He's not better than Ron Jaworski, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe that can resonate because you take the outside world away from it. For personnel people, it's not difficult. You're evaluating the player. Any player can have a great game, a great run, any player. That's why you don't evaluate on one game. You're going to see up to the draft, you got all these draft nicks all over the place. So many of them just look at highlights. Wow, this is great. This is great. This is great. Scouts look at the worst plays. They look at the good plays.
Right.
But they want to see the worst plays. What happened here? What went wrong here? Did he improve from this? It's not hard for them, is all I'm saying.
I got you. I see what you're saying. For me, I'll give Jalen Hurts an elite credit, but I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to debate back with you on it. Good stuff, everybody. Appreciate all you guys being here. We got Les Bone coming up. Let me rattle through the super chats real quick. Dank Bird Gang, what's up, Dank? Over under how he drafts the original pick. 3.
What, 32? I would say I would say he's going to trade from 32. More likely down than up.
I agree. Kyle Studer, what's up, Kyle? He says, if Eagles throw a dart at QB, I'd like to see Quinn Ewers. Yeah, I like Quinn. I think he's going to be actually decent.
I don't think they're taking a quarterback. I think they think.
You don't think they'll take one like late rounds, like 5, 6, or 7?
They got Tanner McKee. They got Tanner McKee and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. If they wanted to add a quarterback, it would be more of a veteran approach, but they don't want to pay anybody. So, I think both of those guys are better prospects than Quinn Ewers. So, both of them, at least from a talent perspective.
Brian checks in. He says number 32 rolls around, and Mike Green, Nolan, Hairston, and James Pierce are sitting there for all field.
Oh, James Pierce.
I'll crash out when he takes the Minnesota offensive tackle.
No, I take James Pierce. He ain't not going to be there, but even with
you take James Pierce over Walter Nolan and Mike Green?
Even with the shitty combine, I take Pierce.
I would take Nolan there. I think I would take Nolan there. I really like that Walter Nolan. JD3 checks in. What about Malachi Moore in later rounds? I like Mason Taylor at tight end 2 beyond future All-Pro Mackey Award winner, Kobe's long-lost son, Harrison Bryant.
Was that our Harrison Bryant has solved the tight end?
And he is correct, John. Harrison Bryant was a Mackey Award winner back in the day. Yeah,
good for him. Yeah, I'd rather have Dallas Goedert. We'll see if the Eagles can.
Me too. I don't know why they're going to get rid of him. I was watching the Super Bowl mic'd up the other day that the Eagles put out. I didn't realize they put one out like later, and Goddard was a major part in that Super Bowl, so I don't know why.
A major part of the whole postseason.
The whole postseason. He led the team in receiving yards and receptions in the postseason. Real Zeal, final super chat. Then we're going to get the Les Bowen coming up next here on Birds 365. He says, I hate draft talk. Everyone in the chat thinks they're Mel Kiper Jr. Just because you watch a Bruce Lee movie doesn't mean
they saw two highlights. You
got to read. Just because you watch a Bruce Lee movie doesn't mean you know karate.
Yeah. Well, I said, look at the bad plays. If you're a film, don't look at the highlights. Look at the bad plays and figure out what went wrong and figure out if they improved. Don't look at highlights. Don't scout highlights.
Right.
But yeah, nobody's got, it's not easy. Not easy to project players.
No, it's not. Good stuff, everybody. Appreciate you all being here. Hit that like button for us. We appreciate everybody as always. We've had another great week on Birds 365. Wrapping up here on a Football Friday. Got 40 minutes left to go. Coming up next, Les Bowen's going to join the show. We'll be right back in 3 minutes, everybody, on Birds 365.